Is nicotine naturally occurring in the things we eat? And is this a problem or a concern that you should be taking into account when you eat? Well, let's get into that. So, I've seen comments on some of my posts about nicotine where people are talking about like they've concerned that it's a chemical, as if all chemicals are bad or something along those lines. And the thing is, pretty much everything we consume is a chemical on some level. Water is a chemical. Everything we drink is obviously a chemical, and the foods we eat are full of chemicals. So it comes down to what kind of chemicals are we consuming and what are their effects on the human body. We've talked a little bit about the effects of nicotine, and so like I don't want to go super into that, but how much are we eating in our normal day-to-day foods? Well, if you do a little bit of searching, it's pretty easy to find. Foods like eggplant, tomatoes, potatoes have significant amounts of nicotine in them. In fact, if you eat about 400 grams of potatoes, which is close to a pound, so quite a lot, but a lot of men eat that much on a regular basis. If you have a large baked potato or something along those lines, then you're going to actually be getting close to 3 milligrams of nicotine in most cases, which is no small amount. That's how much you can get in nicotine packs. Now, it is different in the way it affects you because it's a far slower release. It has to be digested and absorbed. And so it is different. I'm not trying to equate the two, but on a consumption basis, you are actually eating a similar amount that you might get. It's just released over a longer period of time. And it's not irrelevant, but I just want to bring out that like we're all eating this stuff. Eggplant is actually one of the highest. Eggplant per gram, you're getting 100 micrograms. So if you eat 10 grams of eggplant, which is not very much, especially considering how heavy and watery it is, you're getting a milligram of nicotine. So you can easily get as much as in a pouch or a piece of gum or something like that off of a moderate serving of eggplant. Now, I won't because I hate eggplant and don't really eat it. But for those of you that do, it's there. Does this cause a problem? Has this caused any health problems that have been documented that we've ever seen? No, it hasn't. It hasn't been shown to be problematic or concerning. We feed these foods to our children without worrying about it. But suddenly, because it's in a pouch or because we feel politically about someone that we see using a nicotine patch, such as RFK, and all the people that got triggered by that, like people freak out. The reality is humans have been consuming and using nicotine in their foods basically, as far as we know, forever, certainly in modern history. And we've been using various forms of tobacco as well, some of them problematic in their health outcomes and some of them not necessarily so problematic. And now we have the benefit of actually using synthesized or extracted pure nicotine and being able to use it in delivery methods that don't cause these types of problems. We're not smoking it. We're not talking about chewing it and all the other chemicals that go along with snuff and things like that. We have delivery methods now between gum and packs that don't introduce those other issues. If you look at what's in these things, it's not so different. And I would certainly say that if you're someone that's eating like any type of processed food regularly, that's far worse. I would be more concerned about someone, and I drink diet sodas, but I'd be far more concerned about someone having diet sodas or Kraft macaroni and cheese or frozen dinners or things like that, or basically anything that comes in a bag and crunches, than I would be about these types of things. The ingredients being used are generally naturally derived and food grade. They're not really problematic. They're basically for preservation purposes and sort of as a medium of delivery, but generally naturally based and not so much a problem. And so for those of you that might be concerned about this, that raise concerns, try to make sure that you're taking it into context, that we eat foods all the time that don't have these types of issues and that we don't have these types of concerns. But suddenly if it's in a pouch, that people get concerned, or in gum, people get concerned. And I also say that for some people that got upset because of the picture of RFK, that wasn't meant to be political, although the fact that it put some people off so strongly should hopefully give you some degree of pause around how you're evaluating these things, because who's using it shouldn't factor into how healthy it is or is not for you. So just a couple recommendations there. And I strongly recommend evaluate this on an objective basis in full context. Don't worry about who's using it, and don't let politics scare you into not being able to benefit from something, and maybe it's not for you, which is fine, but don't let that influence you one way or the other, or become, triggered because someone you don't like uses it.